Conscious Leadership Podcast, the human side of leadership, where consciousness meets practical business leadership. The podcast dives into real challenges managers face, from team motivation to navigating change. Discover actionable insight, proven strategies, and inspiring stories to help you lead with clarity, authenticity, and impact. Whether you are an SME owner, a team leader, or simply passionate about conscious leadership, this podcast will equip you with the tools to build stronger teams, foster trust, and achieve sustainable success. Tune in, lead consciously, and make a difference. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Conscious Leadership Podcast. I'm your host, Boris Nedved. Today, I want to explore a question that every nowadays leader might face. What happens when data fails us? In a more and more AI-driven business world, metrics and dashboards dominate decisions. But here's my truth. Numbers don't always tell the whole story. Leaders who rely solely on metrics risk falling into what I call data blindness, seeing the graphs but missing the truth. This episode is about the difference between metrics and meaning, and why true leadership requires sensing, not just measuring. Business today runs on dashboards. KPIs, OKRs, analytics, AI-driven insights, name it. It's all out there. These tools promise objectivity, transparency, and control. They create the impression that if you can measure it, you can manage it. The more leaders stare at dashboards, the more they feel they are in control. Yet, leadership is not lived in spreadsheets. It's lived in conversations, in the subtle energy of meetings, in the unspoken dynamics of a team, in the quiet pauses where truth emerges. The seduction of data is that it feels safe. It turns complexity into simple numbers. It gives the illusion of certainty. But metrics can never capture the context, the emotion, or the energy that is there at the moment. A dashboard might tell you productivity is up 8%, but it won't reveal that your team is exhausted, uninspired, and one resignation letter away from a collapse. Customer satisfaction scores may hold steady, while underneath trust in your brand is quietly eroding. Revenue may look healthy, even as innovation pipelines dry up, because people feel unseen and undervalued, and they won't contribute anymore to innovation. Consider the infamous headcount spreadsheets. When a budget cut arrives, the directive is to reduce headcount by X. Human beings with creativity, intuition, and lived experience are reduced to numbers on a page. No discussion about potential, no awareness of cultural ripple effects, just cuts. That's how organizations lose not only talent, but trust, morale, and reputation. This is the trap of data blindness. Leaders begin to believe the numbers are the reality, instead of signals about reality. They lose touch with the living system behind the graphs. They stop walking the floor, listening deeply, and feeling the pulse of the culture of the people of the teams. They outsource their intuition to the dashboard. The irony? The more leaders fixate on the dashboard, the less they actually see. It's like driving while staying only at the speedometer. You know how fast you are going, but you miss the curves in the road, the condition of the tires, and cliffs just ahead. Dashboards are useful, but they are not the territory, if I speak in NLP terms. Leadership demands more than measuring. It demands sensing, interpreting, and acting from a place of resonance. There is a profound difference between measuring and sense-making. Yet in most organizations, the two are often confused. Measuring is about what can be quantified, captured, or recorded. It's retrospective. It tells us what has already happened. Numbers on a spreadsheet are, by definition, a view on the past. They show inputs, outputs, ratios, percentages, but they do not show us the full human reality that produced those outcomes. Sense-making, on the other hand, is about the presence. It's about engaging with the living dynamics of a system, right now, in the moment, and interpreting what they mean for the future. It's not confined to what can be counted. It evolves and involves listening between the lines, noticing shifts in tone, paying attention to energy levels, and seeing patterns that metrics cannot capture. It's about understanding why the numbers look the way they do, and what is emerging beneath the surface. A conscious leader doesn't reject measurement. They understand its value. But they also recognize that metrics are not the truth, only fragments of it. They use data as one input among many. They balance quantitative indicators with qualitative sensing, blending analysis with intuition, facts with resonance. They are comfortable sitting in the tension between what the numbers suggest and what their intuition insists. Consider a team whose performance numbers look solid on paper. The dashboard shows projects delivered on time, costs under budget, and client satisfaction stable. By measuring alone, everything appears fine. But sense-making might reveal a different story. Rising tension between the colleagues, an atmosphere of exhaustion, innovation grinding to a halt, and people quietly looking for other jobs. Measuring would call it success. Sense-making would call it a looming crisis. History offers countless examples where breakthroughs came not from measurement, but from deeper sense-making. Steve Jobs trusted intuition over market research in launching the iPhone. Nelson Mandela sensed that reconciliation, not revenge, would heal a divided nation. No spreadsheet could have calculated that. In both cases, leadership meant stepping beyond the numbers and trusting perception, vision, and resonance. In today's AI-driven world, the risk is greater than ever. Algorithms can track data at dizzying speed, but they cannot feel. They can highlight what is efficient, but they cannot tell what is meaningful. That responsibility still rests with human leaders who can sense, interpret, and act with coherence. To lead consciously is to reclaim sense-making as a core leadership skill, one that cannot be outsourced to dashboards or delegated to AI. It's the art of seeing beyond what is measured and leaning into what is emerging. This is where human design provides an extraordinary lens for conscious leadership. Because while data can give us useful indicators, the real question is, how do you, as a leader, decide what to do next? What is your inner compass, your authority, when numbers are inconclusive or even misleading? Human design teaches us that every individual is wired with a specific decision-making authority. This authority is not found in your mind. It is embodied. It's in you. It shows up in the body's signals, emotions, instinct, and responses. When leaders reconnect with this authority, they unlock a deeper clarity that no spreadsheet can provide. So let's break down some of the key authorities and their implications for leadership. First of all, there is the emotional authority. Leaders with emotional authority should not rush into decisions. They gain clarity over time, riding the emotional waves before committing. And if they rely on immediate metrics, they risk reacting impulsively. But when they honor their design, they make choices that hold up long term and resonate more deeply with their teams. The other one is sacral authority. This authority operates in the gut. It's the famous gut feel. An instant yes or no response to opportunities, to questions, to what you read in the moment. Leaders with sacred authority often know the truth immediately, even if the data looks unclear. Their challenge is to trust that instinct and not to overanalyze it. Teams feel the difference between when such leaders respond from their gut. It creates confidence and momentum. I'm such an instinctive gut decider, and I have countless examples where I have let my mind override my gut decisions. None with really a good outcome. Next is splenic authority, the real intuition. Intuition here is subtle and fleeting. It speaks quietly and only once. Leaders with splenic authority must learn to recognize that this soft whisper of clarity is there, and dashboards won't give them the confirmation. Their power comes from honoring what they sense in the moment. When they do, they often prevent risks or seize opportunities others miss. And there are some other authorities. Some leaders have mental project authority, requiring external dialogue to gain clarity. Others need recognition and invitation to confirm the timing of their decisions. Still others rely on the environment or lunar cycles to align. And each authority brings unique strengths when honored and unique distortions when ignored. The core insight is data informs, but authority, the intrinsic knowing, decides. Too often, leaders outsource their authority to dashboards, consultants, trends. They let the numbers override what their inner compass already knows. But when leaders reclaim their inner authority, decisions carry a coherence that teams and the people around them can feel. It creates trust because people sense when a choice is authentic and aligned versus forced by numbers. Think of a difference in a meeting. One leader quotes statistics, hedges, and defers to the dashboard. Another leader listens, feels, and then says with conviction, "This is the direction we are taking, and here's why." Even if the numbers aren't perfect, the second leader radiates coherence. That's what people follow. Human design doesn't reject data. It helps to contextualize it. It helps leaders to understand how they are designed to process information and make decisions. And when leaders operate from that place, they integrate both measurement and sense making, creating clarity that transcends the dashboards. Let me come now to the cost of data blindness. There is a danger. When organizations run only on dashboards, they end up optimizing what can be counted, not what truly counts. Numbers provide clarity, but they also create blind spots if treated as the whole truth. This phenomenon, data blindness, can quietly corrode an organization. Think about it. A dashboard may show rising productivity, but miss the fact that half the team is burned out and quietly disengaging. Sales may look steady, but underneath, customer trust is eroding because your frontline salespeople are exhausted and cut corners. Efficiency metrics may be at an all-time high, while innovation pipelines are drying up because employees no longer feel safe to take creative risks. I've seen this play out in many industries. A tech company celebrated stellar quarterly KPIs while losing top talent to competitors who promise more authentic human-centered cultures. A financial services firm focused on cutting costs and hitting short-term ratios, only to discover morale had collapsed and compliance risks were skyrocketing. A healthcare organization improved throughput metrics, but patients' trust and staff well-being deteriorated, ultimately impacting outcomes and reputation. Dashboards can't tell you when people stop believing in leadership. They can't measure when your culture is flatlining or when trust is quietly evaporating. AI can process massive data sets in seconds, all agreed. But it cannot sense when a room goes quiet after a controversial decision or when body language signals resistance. Only leaders present in the moment can feel those things. The cost of data blindness is expensive. Disengagement, turnover, risk exposure, missed opportunities, and ultimately the erosion of resilience. And when you look at all the dashboards, the statistics that are out there, you can see it. When leaders confuse the map for the territory, when they treat metrics as reality rather than signals about reality, they lose the ability to adapt to complexity. What saves organizations is not more data, but the ability to combine data with awareness. Leaders who rely only on dashboards steer by rear view mirror. Leaders who practice sense-making in the present can anticipate curves in the road before the data ever catches up. So how do leaders step beyond data blindness and reclaim their role as sense makers? It begins with rebalancing the relationship between data and presence, metrics and meaning. Dashboards remain useful tools given, but they cannot be the only compass, the only route, the only way forward. Conscious leaders cultivate practices that bring them back to their inner authority and to the subtle dynamics of the human system they lead. Here are some practices for leading beyond the dashboard. Pause before deciding. Especially in these fast-paced environments, the instinct is to react quickly to numbers, flashing red or green. Instead, conscious leaders create space. They pause, they breathe, and they notice. What is my body telling me? What am I sensing that the data does not show? This moment of presence often reveals hidden dynamics that no dashboard could capture. Listen to the field. Beyond hearing words in a meeting, leaders tune into the energy in the room. Who is silent? Whose body language signals discomfort? What is not being said? The atmosphere of a meeting often reveals far more than slides or charts. By training themselves to feel into these subtleties, leaders gather intelligence that algorithms miss. Map your authority. Tools like human design or other coaching frameworks help leaders to understand their innate decision-making style. Are you designed to wait for emotional clarity? Are you designed to trust your gut response or to follow your intuition in the moment? Knowing this allows you as a leader to integrate data without outsourcing your authority to it. Ask deeper questions. Instead of only asking, what do the numbers say? Leaders ask questions that reach into the meaning of the numbers. What feels aligned? What are we missing? What story is hiding behind these metrics? These questions open the door to conversations that reveal the truth behind the figures. Balance metrics with meaning. Conscious leaders design dashboards that integrate both quantitative and qualitative signals. They track not only KPIs, but also cultural indicators, engagement scores, psychological safety, resonance surveys. They know that numbers without meaning are incomplete, and that meaning without number lacks grounding. And create rituals for sense-making. Beyond the reporting cycles, leaders hold regular spaces for reflection and dialogue. These are moments to step back from dashboards and ask, what are we learning? What do we sense is emerging? What is energy flowing or leaking? Such rituals train organizations to see beyond the measurable and to cultivate collective intuition. Leading beyond the dashboard does not mean discarding the data. It means rehumanizing it, It means recognizing data as a signal, not the whole picture, and reclaiming the leader's role as an interpreter, sense maker, and energetic anchor. The most effective leaders use dashboards as one lens among many, but they never forget to look up to the people, the culture, and the field they're actually leading, the system they're leading. The future of leadership isn't about more dashboards, faster analytics, or bigger data sets. It's about cultivating what I call energetic literacy, the ability to feel, sense, and interpret what numbers can never capture. Metrics gives us clarity, but they are only half the story. The other half lives in intuition, presence, and resonance. So the next time you find yourself staring at the dashboard, remember, it's just a map. Useful? Yes, for sure, but incomplete. And you can ask yourself, what's not showing up here? What's emerging in the field around me? What do I already know deep down that I have been ignoring? Because when data fails, and it will, your inner authority becomes your true compass. It's your gut instinct, your emotional clarity, your intuitive nudge that points you toward alignment. When you honor this inner knowing, your decisions carry a coherence that spreadsheets can't generate. But your people, your team, will feel it instantly. The leaders who thrive in this next era will not be those who know how to interpret dashboards the fastest. They will be those who can integrate metrics with meaning, analysis with awareness, data with depth. They will be the ones who can read the room as well as the report, and who trust their body as much as the board pack. And this is where conscious leadership becomes practical. By reclaiming sense-making and inner authority, you create organizations that don't just run efficiently, but resonate powerfully. Cultures that don't just perform, but thrive. Teams aren't just measured, but felt. This was episode 33 of the Conscious Leadership Podcast. When data fails, leading beyond the dashboards. If this resonates or triggered something, I invite you to go deeper. Visit humaninthecenter.com, my website, to explore how human design, BG5, OC16, and quantum leadership practices can help you discover your inner authority, lead with resonance, and transform the way your organization measures success. Measure less and sense more. Until the next time, stay intentional, stay conscious, and keep leading with purpose from the inside out. Thank you for listening to the Conscious Leadership Podcast. Look forward to the next episode to come, and stay intentional, stay conscious, and keep leading with purpose. Until the next time, bye.